Thank you, Chairman. I'm proud to partner with my colleague on the other side of the aisle, Congressman Nadler, once again, in introducing the NDO Fairness Act. This bill makes much-needed changes to the way law enforcement obtains the use of non-disclosure orders, also known as secrecy orders. The evolution of cloud computing has significantly changed the way we retain and store personal information. Before cloud computing, the Fourth Amendment required law enforcement to execute a search warrant and subpoena the items they wished to view. The officer executing the search would leave behind a copy of the warrant and an inventory of the property seized. Congress altered this process in 2001, with passage of the U.S. Patriot Act, allowing law enforcement to execute an unannounced search provided that no property was seized. This process, known as the sneak and peek, required the same probable cause standard as the Fourth Amendment search, but required the party affected by the search to be notified within 30 days rather than immediately after the search. However, in law enforcement wishes to search emails, files, and other data stored on the cloud, the officer never has to give notice to the individual. Instead, they serve the subpoena to the cloud computing company along with a non-disclosure order, or NDO, prohibiting the company from notifying the individual of the search. All, I might add, without prior review by the courts. This has led to an abuse of secrecy orders whereby companies like Microsoft, Facebook, and Google receive thousands of boilerplate secrecy orders per year that are unsupported by any legal or factual basis. And you don't have to look much further than what we just saw with the recent revelations by this committee that former Special Counsel Jack Smith sought and obtained non-disclosure orders to prevent phone carriers from notifying members of Congress that their phone records had been searched. For more than a year, members of Congress were unable to be notified that their information was searched, all because the federal judge accepted the government's boilerplate secrecy order, suggesting disclosure would seriously jeopardize an ongoing investigation. Regardless of your politics, this should alarm every sitting member of Congress. The NDO Fairness Act will make needed changes to the secrecy order process by eliminating the boilerplate orders used by law enforcement. Rather than a blind assertion that the disclosure would seriously jeopardize the investigation, the court must certify that disclosing the search is likely to result in the destruction of evidence or endanger the life of an individual. NDO Fairness Act would also impose a limit on the length of the secrecy order, something that does not currently exist in statute. Our bill ends indefinite secrecy orders and imposes a 90-day limit, with an extension available if, and only if, the need for secrecy is justified beyond the facts and approval by a judge. This brings the NDO approval process in line with sneak and peek searches. Finally, our bill allows the individual subject to search to request a copy of the information that was disclosed. These changes, I believe, will be more closely aligned with searches of the virtual data and with searches of physical offices, while protecting user privacy in the process. In closing, I'll just remind my colleagues that this bill, it did pass the House nearly unanimously in the previous two Congresses. So I would urge for the swift passage of this bill, and I would yield back.